Hey guys, welcome to my channel. It's been a hot minute. If you don't know who I am, my name is Alina Bilichuk. I posted videos for a while as I was in my nursing school journey. I was living in Oahu and now I'm in a totally different place and season of my life. It's been like 5 years since my last video and I just wanted to do a video updating you guys where I'm at, what I've been up to, because I feel like it'd just be weird if I just like jumped right into making videos and like everyone's like, where have you been the last 5 years? So I figured while I get ready today and do my makeup, I would just give you guys a little update. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe and let's jump into it. Tell me why I'm like low-key nervous. I don't even know why. So where do I start? So the last video that I made on YouTube was like 5 years ago. It was March 2020, I think, which is so crazy that so much time has passed. So much has happened. In my last video, I was in nursing school. I was living in Hawaii. I had no kids and it was just like a different life completely. Gosh, what an amazing time it was. It's just crazy. So COVID had just hit and I was probably like a month or two out of graduation. And that's kind of when I stopped making videos. I've tried a couple of times since then to get back into making videos, but like one of the times I was literally like 8 or 9 months pregnant and I was rewatching the footage and I was like, there is no freaking way in heck I'm posting this on the internet. Like I was just not feeling confident. Okay, so let's rewind 5 years ago to the spring of 2020. COVID just hit and I was really close to graduating nursing school. A week before graduating nursing school, I remember like I had a big test and I remember during the test I was like, man, I feel so hungry and so tired. This is so weird. And then graduation comes and of course I graduated, and after graduation I was like, dude, I felt just so exhausted and purposeless, and I was like, dang, is this because like I finished like this huge accomplishment and I just went from studying my butt off and working so hard to like having nothing to do? I didn't think I was pregnant, even though I was like 2 weeks late, but I was like, bro, there's just like, there's a glitch in the system. Like, I'm not pregnant. There's just no way that it could happen that fast. And at that point, like, that was something that we were like talking about, praying about. So like, if it were to happen, we'd be really excited about it. And then finally, I was like, you know what? It's been like 3 weeks. Maybe I should take a test. And sure enough, it came back positive. So I graduated nursing school and I found I was pregnant all in the same month, which was like such a blessing, so exciting. Like it was just a dream come true. Honestly, that's what we had been praying for, hoping for. And then I go to the mainland for the summer. Meanwhile, COVID is just like raging. It's the whole thing. And I go to visit my parents. I do a little girls trip. And to preface, I feel like people don't really realize that like we were never planning to stay in Hawaii forever. Like I just knew that we would eventually move. I just didn't know when. And we never thought that we would live in Hawaii for 5 years. Okay, my husband lived there for 6 or 7 because he moved there before I did. Like 5 years was a long time and we didn't know that we'd stay there for that long. And ever since we had moved, like something that I had prayed about was like, God, whenever our time is done here, just make it clear to us. Like to me, just living in his will and being where God wants my family is just a priority to us. I always just wanted to make sure that I was like walking in his will and being obedient to where he wanted us and was calling us to. And so for 5 years we'd always pray and it always seemed like that was meant to be where we were at. And then I come back and I'm just like, yeah, I feel like our time is up. And my husband was like, oh my gosh, like don't say that. Like we loved living in Hawaii so much. And I have a lot of friends that have lived there as well. Like we were all living there at the same time. And some of them just didn't love it as much. Some of them didn't feel as connected to it as we did, but we felt so connected to living there. I don't know if even that makes sense. Like there's just so many different factors to why we loved living there. So for us moving, at the time though, like it felt right. It felt so right. We felt ready. And so we literally were praying about it for a year. And on top of everything, a lot of our friends were starting to move off the island, which is so crazy because I feel like we were like the first ones to kind of like start thinking or talking about it and praying about it. But then like next thing you know, our friends are just like hopping off the island and we're like, God, well, what about us? And we just wanted to make sure that we had like the confirmation and that we were like, I don't know, that at his timing, that's when we, made that decision. And so it wasn't until almost a year later from when we had started praying about it and talking about it that we actually moved. It was so crazy, but honestly, like, we were just trusting his timing. So we moved to Missouri, and the reason why we moved to Missouri was because it just made the most sense. We both had grown up on the West Coast, like Washington, Oregon area, and we had zero desire to move back there. Our parents were living in Missouri, so it just made more sense for us to be there. The thing that like made sense for us is that I had just finished nursing school, and in Hawaii to get a nursing job as a new grad is near impossible, plus childcare, all this stuff. Like, we didn't really have family support, and at that point our baby was like 6 months old. And so when we moved, I would say like 6 months after we moved, or 5 months after, I started working actually as a nurse, and my mom helped watch my baby, which was a huge blessing and a huge help. And that kind of also just like allowed me to get the experience as a nurse that I need to be able to even move forward with my career in whatever direction I wanted to take. So that just, you know, made sense for us. I will say that moving to Missouri that first year was pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie, and we really missed Hawaii. Even though we were like happy to be there, but we still really missed Hawaii. Like, I remember crying a lot and just being like so sad. So the move, like, it was good, but not everything was as easy as we thought it would be, to be honest. And 2022 was a good but hard year. It was my first year as a new grad nurse, which I feel like I should make a whole separate video on your first year as a new grad nurse. It was really challenging. I started working in the ICU in a small community hospital. I dealt that year with like a lot of anxiety, which was honestly a huge part of that year. So that's kind of why I'm sharing about it. Thankfully, like, the Lord helped me get through that season, but it was literally like every single day relying on him to show up and help me get through the day when it would come to work and stuff. I don't know, kind of went through a traumatic experience at work with an active SHOOTER situation that just added on to the anxiety and just really affected like me for a long time. But we kept, you know, showing up and just having to put our faith in the Lord and believing that he was gonna like be with me each day as I just encountered like that traumatic experience, the anxiety of being a new grad. But on the silver lining of that year, we got to do a lot of traveling, which I've always been so passionate about traveling. We got to go to Europe finally, which has been like my lifelong dream for the longest time. We got to go to Chicago. We did a girls trip to Arizona. So like that year was so fun and filled with like so much travel, which is amazing. But deeper below the surface, there was a lot of things that like I was struggling with and that were really, really hard. So yeah, that was kind of 2022. And then at the end of 2022, we moved from one city to a bigger city, which is where like my husband's parents lived. And we had always intended to move there when we moved to Missouri, but we kind of got like a pit stop in the smaller town where my parents lived because I ended up getting that job in the ICU and it just made sense with childcare. So anyways, we moved and that was fun. It was a different experience, I guess. I did some other nursing stuff, which I feel like I was gonna include in this video, but it's like, if you're not into nursing, you're like, what is she even talking about? So I feel like I should do a whole different, like, you know, like, I feel like I should do a part 2 to my LPN to RN journey and like where I'm at now. In Springfield, I was still working actually in that community ICU. I would travel like kind of a distance, and I also was working part-time at a hospital there. And that's kind of where I was like, okay, I'm trying to get my foot into the door with aesthetic nursing. That's something that I've always been really excited about. I feel like it fits who I am. I've always been into beauty and just like, I don't know, like that type of stuff. It just made sense. So I started working on getting certified, trainings. I opened up my own business for a bit and I got pregnant. So I was like doing so much in 2023 into 2024. Like, it was crazy. Like, I had so much on my plate, and yeah, I got pregnant with my second baby, which was like a huge blessing. And then like into 2024, I was literally about to give birth, and this job opportunity for my husband came up, and it had come up multiple times, but we had shot it down because we had never had the desire to move to Washington. But funny enough, like, I would say 4 months before that, I feel like the Lord just started working on my heart and preparing my heart. Like, I would just say small things like, we had signed a lease for the house that we were living in, and I was like, yeah, well, we had brought up like, oh, 2-year lease, and I was like to my husband, like, honestly, who knows if we'll even be here next year? Like, what does that even mean? But I just felt like there were and like small things like that. I've always visited Washington because I still have so much friends and family here, like every summer, every year. And I hadn't visited in a while because I was like I wanted to go somewhere new. I don't want to go back to the same place. And I all of a sudden was like, oh, you know what? Like, I wouldn't mind going this summer to Washington or whatever. And so when this opportunity came up, again, for the third time, which is funny, that was like the third time, and it was kind of like the final time, like, hey, this opportunity is presenting itself, like, you guys have to make a decision. It just seemed like the right decision for our family. And although it took a lot of faith and it felt like a huge risk, but we had peace about it. Crazy as it seems, but it felt like the move for us is what I'm trying to say. It made sense for us. It seemed like it is like in this and he's with us. And so I literally gave birth. I remember giving birth and like 3 days later being at a park, sitting on a bench, just getting some fresh air. Cause you know, when you're postpartum, you just like need to get out of the house. And me and my husband had this serious discussion. I remember driving home. We were on like separate cars for some reason. I just remember parking in the garage because I got home first. And I was just like sobbing in the car, praying like, God, if this is like what you, like, if this is you leading us, then like, I'm surrendering it all to you. Like, I'm surrendering it all. Like, you take the wheel, you provide the things that we need for this to happen. Because that's like a huge thing, moving across the country. A lot of y'all have never even moved to like a different town, okay? But we had just moved from Missouri to Oahu, from Oahu back to Missouri, and then back to Washington, which I feel like to a lot of people sounds so crazy or sounds so stupid. But also it's like at the same time, like, it's a very growing experience. It helps you grow like in your relationship. It allows you to have new exciting experiences. And honestly, like, I don't know. I feel like for some people, they're so just like shocked, but I don't know. I don't think it's like that crazy. I mean, it's like a lot of work, but it's not that crazy. So anyways, we did it. We did it, y'all. We moved to the West Coast. We are in Washington now, which is funny because I said I'd never want to move here. And guess what I learned? Never say never. Pause recording so I could do my eyes because I felt like I just needed to like focus for 2 seconds. We're in Washington. It's been really, really good. It's been really nice because I grew up here and I have all of my childhood friends. I have my cousins. I have my sister-in-laws here that I'm super close with. I feel like I've had a lot of just support. Obviously, you know, parents don't live here, so we don't have like that type of support, but it's been really great just overall. I will say though, I don't like to be the type of person who like makes everything look perfect on social media and then like pretends like everything is like so easy and like, I don't know, just I like to be genuine and real. And honestly, it's been one of the hardest years of our life. It really has. It's been really good and it's been really growing, but at the same time, it's had a lot of its own challenges. It's brought us closer to the Lord, which I feel like above all, like that's the most important thing. I once heard a phrase that the Lord cares more about your character than your comfort, you know? So anyways, it's been challenging in its own ways. Obviously, come on, like I was freshly postpartum, we moved across the country, a whole new place, finding a new home. My husband has a new job, just adjusting to all of that. It's been a whirlwind. I've been home with the kiddos though, which has been really good to be able to like be home raising my kids. But I'm not gonna lie, I do miss kind of working, which I know some girls are probably like, what is wrong with her? But I feel like when you go through like nursing school and you like invest so much into just, I don't know, yourself, you just crave this other part of yourself. Like it's a part of who I am. Like I'm also a nurse, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a nurse. And like, even like, I love girly things, I love fashion, all this stuff. It's just a part of like who you are. So I've definitely been missing that, and we'll see where things go if I go back to work sometime soon, sooner than later, maybe, I don't know. I just want to take you guys along on the journey, and I just want to share parts of my life that I feel like, I don't know, maybe you guys could relate to. I'm gonna post some nursing stuff, I want to post fashion, beauty stuff, just maybe some vlogs. Definitely missed talking to you guys. Honestly, it felt so good making this video. It just makes me so happy. And yeah, it's been really good catching up. I definitely feel like I need to come back and do a part 2 to my LPN and RN like journey, because I feel like so much of you guys were probably following me for nursing content, but I feel like I definitely want to also share more of my life. and just like stuff that I love. Like, have watched this far along, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe. I can't wait to make more videos. Stay tuned. Bye.